Good afternoon. I'm Chris Cooney, President of the Metro South Chamber of Commerce. It is my pleasure to welcome you here to our 109th annual meeting. We are incredibly pleased to be in person where we can celebrate accomplishments and success together as a business community. Today we will elect some new board members, hear from a wonderfully upbeat speaker, and recognize several business and community leaders who have contributed their time, positively impacted their communities, and invested their resources to make Brockton and the Metro South Chamber and region much better. We want to thank all of you for your help in allowing this annual meeting to return to in-person. It's been, well, we were here last year, but we took off a year. By each of you doing your part, we are here today safely enjoying our hospitality of our hosts at the Adult and Teen Challenge Multi-Use Center. I want to thank Chef Charles Herman, Director of Culinary Arts Program here. Charles is both a graduate of the Adult and Teen Challenge program and a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America. In addition, I want to thank our key contacts here, Eric Castingay and Mark Bates and their team. Most importantly, thank you to the culinary arts students who are serving us our meals today. Let's have a round of applause for them. I also want to send a special thank you to Mike Lambert and his team from the Brockton Area Transit Authority, as well as Mark Brewster, owner of Brewster Ambulance, for their help with parking and transportation today. As you saw, BAT has the most modern buses and great drivers, so thank you, BAT. We are happy to see so many businesses and organizations exhibiting here today. Please join us after the lunch to just say hello to some of these exhibitors. These are local organizations and businesses that rely on local business connections, and I know many of you in the room here today understand that firsthand. So take a chance and take some time to say hello to some of the businesses and organizations that are here today, if you would. We are pleased to be at full capacity. If you have an extra seat and you see someone looking for one, it's a great way to meet someone. I see people are still coming in from the parking lot, so just wave and let them know you have a seat available. I would ask you, if your bags are in the way, please put them underneath the table so the servers have room to bring your food, and that way that'll facilitate you getting your meals on time. And now to sing our national anthem, please rise and join me in welcoming Sinfonium, Cardinal Spellman's High School's a cappella choir. Come on up.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
It's great to have Cardinal Spellman here in the City of Champions. Thank you very much for coming out. At this time, if we could, in honor of our active duty service members and veterans, please join me in a moment of silence as we honor them for their enduring service to our country. Thank you very much. We have a full agenda, so we're going to encourage you to enjoy your meal right through the program. After you finish your salads, you could move on to your cake. No one's going to judge you. But there will be a full meal coming after. I just ask you to make some room there. It'll come in, and just continue to enjoy your lunch as we continue with the program. Now, I'd like to thank our largest sponsors for today's event. I ask our sponsors to stand and be recognized. Our premier sponsor is Harbor One Bank. With us is President Joe Casey and his team. He's got 2 tables here. Folks from Harbor One, thank you. We also have our supporting leadership sponsor, UMass Donahue Institute, under the direction of Johan Uven and John Murray. They're here to my right. Thank you very much. We have our expo sponsor, Bridgewater State University. With us is President Fred Clark and his team. Fred. And finally, we have a sporting job sponsor, Mass Hire of Greater Brockton Workforce Board. Executive Director Sheila Sullivan is here with her team. Sheila? Thank you so much. We do have a few elected and selected officials with us today. The Mayor of Brockton, Bob Sullivan, is with us. We're going to hear from him. Margaret LaForest from the Mass Office of Business Development. Susan Whitaker from the Mass Office of Business Development. Jay Patakis from Mass Development. Senator Mike Brady. Senator Walter Timothy. Shirley Asak with the City Council. And School Committee member Tim Sullivan. If there's others, let me know. Thank you for all being here today. I also want to thank so many of our past chairs of the board, directors, and economic development partners who are in attendance this afternoon. Thank you for your collaboration throughout the year. Today we reflect on our Chamber's progress, celebrate our achievements as a business community, and look towards a brighter future. A future that's looking better every day here in Brockton. With each renovation of an abandoned building, with each groundbreaking of a vacant lot, and with each ribbon cutting of a new business, we see firsthand how investments made in new housing, education, and infrastructure make Brockton better and the entire region stronger as a result. I know many of you, like me, embrace the notion that Brockton is where better begins for many families and many businesses and many people. We see it in the new faces of young families, the new spaces created by local companies, and the new infrastructure designed to create better return on business investment right here in the city of Brockton. To open our program today, I would like to invite the Mayor of Brockton, Bob Sullivan, to present an exciting new brand and promotional video for the city of Brockton. Mayor.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to Teen Challenge. Let's give everybody a round of applause here at Teen Challenge. I want to welcome those that are visiting the City of Champions today. I want to thank Chris Cooney and all the dedicated team members at Metro South Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank everybody that's a Brockton business owner here in the city of Brockton. I don't care if it's large corporations running a bank or running Massasoit or a sole proprietorship. I want to just say thank you, thank you, thank you as a guy that grew up here in the City of Champions. We have a lot of work to do, but as long as we continue to collaborate and work together, we will achieve what we want to do. Case in point, Brockton Beer, great example. It's a great example. 5 Brocktonians that had a vision, and they have a downtown brewery, one of the first black-owned breweries in the Commonwealth. The other night I was there with Karen Polito, our Lieutenant Governor. The LG came to Brockton to give more money to Brockton, which is great. And then, yeah, give a round of applause for that, right? Money. And then the Lieutenant Governor wanted to go grab a pint. My last name's Sullivan. I'm never going to say no, right? So we went to Brockton Beer. And I just drove here, and I might have, if there's any police officers here, I might have broken a few speed records. I was just down in Plymouth. I want to thank the county commissioners in Plymouth County. Brockton's the only city in Plymouth County, but we just signed an economic agreement, Plymouth County in Massachusetts with Donegal County in Ireland. Again, we need to continue to think outside the box to create recipes for success. And one recipe for success is a marketing campaign that we're doing right now in Brockton, right? And when I became mayor, it was 6 weeks before COVID reared its ugly heads. But as a guy that has an MBA degree and ran a small law office here in the city of Brockton, I said, we need to continue to treat Brockton like a business. We're in the people business. My budget is $500 million a year here in the city of Brockton, $540 million. So what do? we have to have mission statements, and we have to have collaborative approaches, and we have to market, market, market. So the Brockton Partnership was created while I was City Council President. I want to thank Bob Rivers from Eastern Bank. I want to thank Joe Casey, CEO of Harbor One. I want to thank Chris Cooney from the Chamber. At the end of the day, the elected officials, the business owners, the residents, we all have a vested interest in a healthy, safe, economic, vibrant city of Brockton. And when I became mayor, I made a concerted effort not to pause construction during COVID. Other mayors, like my dear friend, Secretary of Labor right now, Marty Walsh, when he was mayor of Boston, Marty said we have to pause it. And I said, with all due respect, Mayor, I can't in Brockton. We'll be taking steps the wrong direction. We have to take steps this way. And so we didn't pause construction. And as someone that grew up here 52 years, I've never seen more construction and more cranes in the city of Brockton. And that's not me as mayor, that's everybody working together. That's local investors, that's investors throughout the Commonwealth, and that's investors nationwide. Brockton is on the radar for many, many, many developers. And what I say is keep coming. Keep coming. We welcome you. We want you. We have an event tonight, Transit Matters. It's Brockton Beer. The MBTA is hosting it with my office to understand that the 3 commuter stops in Brockton is a game changer. Young professionals are coming to Brockton because the price point is real, right? You can go to Braintree and Quincy and Southie or Dorchester, but if you come to Brockton, you're getting more for your money. And you can use that money to invest or save or pay off student loans. So now's a great time for Brockton. And this Where Better Begins campaign is something that was kicked off the other night, and I see the president of Massasoit, Ray. Thank you for hosting us the other night over at Massasoit Community College. I want to thank Cardinal Spellman and those wonderful, talented musicians. I want to thank Brockton High School. I want to thank everybody. I know the president is here from Bridgewater State. We're going on a trip to Cape Verde December 1st, and it's an economic and educational summit, and I look forward to it. But today, right now, this is a showpiece. This video, I'm going to humbly ask you, I'm going to plead, let's do it. Get it out in the mainstream. It's a marketing tool, but it really tells the story of Brockton in the year 2022. So without further ado, Where Better Begins.
A better job, a better home, a better life. Who hasn't wished for these things, worked for them, and sought a place where they had a better chance of becoming real? For generations, Brockton has welcomed those seeking something better. From those who came in search of opportunity to today's multicultural population that makes us the most diverse community in all of New England. Brockton is a place where homes are more affordable, communities closer, where a strong and talented workforce fuels the success of businesses big and small, and the vision of a more diverse and equitable America is being realized every day. It's where ideas take root, businesses grow, communities thrive, new beginnings unfold, and the promise of a better life is kept. Brockton, Massachusetts, where better begins.
So in a little while, you're going to hear from a wonderful organization, Life is Good. You know where life is good? Life is good here in Brockton. Let's see that one more time, please.
A better job, a better home, a better life. Who hasn't wished for these things, worked for them, and sought a place where they had a better chance of becoming real? For generations, Brockton has welcomed those seeking something better. From those who came in search of opportunity to today's multicultural population that makes us the most diverse community in all of New England. Brockton is a place where homes are more affordable, communities closer, where a strong and talented workforce fuels the success of businesses big and small, and the vision of a more diverse and equitable America is being realized every day. It's where ideas take root, businesses grow, communities thrive, new beginnings unfold, and the promise of a better life is kept. Brockton, Massachusetts, where better begins.
So how about that? Anybody recognize the narrator's voice? Virginia DePina from Massasoit Community College. Brockton resident and director of communications at the community college. Well done. So, we're delighted that you saw that, and we're delighted to share that video with you. What we'd really like from you is for you to post it and share it again and again and again, whether it's TikTok or LinkedIn or your Facebook page. The way we're going to get this video out is through all of you, our connectors in this community. So I ask you, we will make it easy for you. We will send a follow-up email to everyone who's registered. We'll also encourage you to download it from the city's webpage or the Chamber's webpage. It's also on YouTube, so we thank you for that. The Chamber is fortunate to have the leadership of Joe Casey, president of Harbor One Bank, and he is with us today. He's going to be our MC, so please join me in welcoming Joe Casey.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you all, fellow Chamber members. Very happy here to celebrate the Chamber's success and recognize so many of our members' achievements. Especially excited about that video, and yes, I confirm that we're going to make this a viral video, and by the end of this week, it's going to be on the top YouTube pages listing. So I guarantee it. So thank you for your help. And again, I'd like to confirm that it's your Chamber of Commerce that funded a third of that video production, along with the city and Eastern Bank. So thank you to Chamber members. As a leading Chamber of Commerce, wait a minute, Rich, is this the good side, Rich? Fred Clark told me that this would be the good side, but I won't let Fred live that down. As a leading Chamber of Commerce, we have focused on improving the economic climate and quality of life in Metro South region. And especially over the last 2 years with COVID, this team, Chamber of Commerce team and board members has really come together and done an outstanding job of continuing to service the business community through very tough times. And I am very proud to lead the charge with this organization. An initiative like the new promotional video we just saw is an excellent example of how our Chamber of Commerce is making a difference. I hope you'll take a moment to again share that video on social media, because it is something to be very proud of. As I look out into this impressive audience, this is very exciting that we can all finally enjoy coming together as a group, I'm reminded of some of the changes that are taking place and the promise of the new year to come. I see a number of new faces, including Christine Santoro, Executive Director of the Easton Children's Museum, Erin McGough-Rowe, Executive Director of the Fuller Craft Museum, and Bob Hafey, CEO of Signature Healthcare. I also see Brockton's new state rep, Rita Mendez, congratulations. Several new chamber ambassadors, thank you. Several new chamber ambassadors like FELASAT, the Cape Verdean Association, Kadi Maskakanas of Brockton Redevelopment Authority, and Masi Venecia of Above the Clouds. Finally, on the topic of new faces and a change in the year ahead, I am happy to see Old Colony YMCA CEO Vinny Maturano with us. After 30 years, Vinny has announced his retirement, and let's have a warm round of applause for all new faces in Vinny. And I must pause here and let all those that don't know of Vinny's ongoing commitment over the years to reinvest in downtown Brockton, despite a very successful YMCA that has spread services throughout most of the Commonwealth, never lost focus, reinvested millions of dollars recently in downtown Brockton in the former youth center. So thank you again, Vinny. We will miss you in your retirement. In the past year, the Chamber has hosted dozens of programs, including business forums, legislative events, a regional restaurant week, and the 7th annual multicultural business reception. Through each of these programs, the Chamber acted as a convener, connecting people to businesses and strengthening the Metro South region. Also in the past year, the Chamber received several economic development grants, commissioned an actionable plan on regional sewer infrastructure, wayfinding signage, regional promotions, business support, and branding for the city of Brockton. All these initiatives focus on areas of regional importance and reflect statewide economic development priorities. Also, I am pleased to report the Chamber was chosen by the state of Massachusetts to serve as one of only 12 regional economic development organizations again this year. This designation provides a preferred role for the Chamber in support of state economic development priorities. As a result, the Chamber is better focused on convening regional stakeholders, coordinating small business consulting, commissioning research, and advancing advocacy on issues of regional importance. And finally, I am pleased to report that the Chamber, according to our most recently completed audit, remains on very strong financial footing, finishing the fiscal year with a healthy balance sheet and ample reserves. The Chamber is in the strongest financial position in our 109th year history. Thank you, all of our members, and the Chamber's dedicated Board of Directors and talented staff members. Thank you very much. At this time, I am pleased to present the report of the nominating committee for 2022. The slate was officially elected at the October Board of Directors meeting. I ask those present to give a wave as I call your name. And I would ask you to please hold your applause until all have been recognized. Nominated and elected to the class of 2023, Fred Clark, Bridgewater State University. David Texera, Mattress Makers of New England. Lisa Stranahan, of Enterprise, Wicked Local, Doug Smith, Stonehill College, Ray D. Pasquale, Massasoit Community College, and Robert Hafey, Signature Healthcare. Nominated and elected to the class of 2024, Joe Casey, Harbor One Bank, Donald Donaldson, Beantown Builders, Nelson Fernandez, JJ's Cafe, Andrew St. Pierre, Brockton Plumbing Supply. Nominated and elected to the class of 2025 is Chuck Jones of Harbor Health, Sue Joss of Brockton Neighborhood Health Center, Matthew Osborne, Eastern Bank, Albert Sensi, Victory Human Services, and Rich Spencer, Northeastern Savings Bank. I ask all Metro South Chamber board members in attendance, please rise at this time, and please join me in a round of applause for all of their service. The following will serve as officers. I ask them each to stand as I read their names, remain standing until all are introduced. And again, I ask you to hold your applause until all have been recognized. Chairman Rich Hines. That's a happy one, yeah. President and CEO Christopher Cooney. Chair-elect Dan Evans. Treasurer Greg Hart, CPA. Vice Chair of Economic Development, George Spilios. Vice Chair, Membership Development, Mike Lambert. Vice Chair, Community Affairs, Sue Joss. Vice Chair of Government Affairs, Fred Clark. And past Chairman, myself, Joe Casey. Please join me in a round of applause. A special part of our annual meeting is the presentation of recognition awards. I ask Chamber President Chris Cooney to join me in presenting these awards. Our first presentation honors board members who are completing their maximum years of service on the board. Please join us on stage when your name is called. Fred Weiler, consultant. And Masa Kanabi of Kanabi Immigration Law. Let's thank Fred and Masa for their service. Thank you both. Our next presentation honors those who have earned the 2022 Metro South Economic Impact Award. Today, we honor 11 companies who have made a significant economic impact in the region, creating jobs and adding to the rich business culture by providing valuable products, resources, and services to help our region grow. Combined, these businesses have invested millions of dollars and added hundreds of jobs. Each award recipient and their accomplishments are detailed in your program. I ask each recipient, as I call your name, to come forward and remain on stage for a group photo. The Metro South Chamber of Commerce is very pleased to present the Economic Impact Award to our first 5 recipients. And accepting on behalf of 24 Restore is Robert Tishman, Concord Square Planning and Development, Ted Carmen, Egan Development, Steve and Todd Egan, HD Pediatrics, Robin Hayes, Heights Crossing Assisted Living, Peter McConnell. The Chamber is pleased to present the Economic Impact Award to our next 6 recipients. Accepting on behalf of JN Kids is Peter Smith. New Vision Enterprises, Joe Gonzalez. Houghton de Nos Ela, Rosanlala Tavalis, and Paulo Samedo. The Arc of Greater Brockton, Dean Rizzo. The Wild Delilah, Shauna Pasolopoulos. And Trinity Development and Management, Jonathan Bramer. Our final recognition award is the Charles A. Fuller Memorial Chamber Award. The late Mr. Fuller served as chairman of the board of the Chamber and was dedicated to our organization and to the community. This award recognizes an individual whose leadership, performance, personal example, and good influence has done the most to advance the welfare of Metro South Chamber of Commerce and the community. This year's recipient is Masa Kanabi of Kanabi Immigration Law. We are pleased to present the Charles A. Fuller Memorial Chamber of Commerce Award to a true champion of business in the community. Attorney Masa Kanabi is an internationally recognized leader on U.S. immigration and is a frequent speaker on the topic. She was born in Iran and raised from a young age in Western Massachusetts, where her father was a medical doctor. Through a complex immigration process, it took more than 20 years before she was granted U.S. citizenship. This experience shaped her decision to earn a law degree and to help others by opening a law practice dedicated to immigration law. While working at a law practice, Masa has really assisted hundreds of people with immigration, especially in the field of healthcare. Since then, she has expanded her offices and law firm and moved them to Easton, where she also lives with her family. For many people, Masa is the interviewer or MC at monthly chamber business forums, the professional board member at regular chamber board meetings, or the featured speaker on the topic of immigration law, seen throughout the community and on national television periodically. No matter what the association, Masa is a true community-minded individual who volunteers to serve on numerous committee and industry-related boards, including the Metro South Chamber in these past 8 years. Her commitment to the Chamber of Commerce and the community is extraordinary. Her contribution in countless hours are very much appreciated and recognized today. We are pleased to recognize this exemplary leader, Attorney Masa Kanabi.
Good afternoon, everyone. Wow, I'm really honored to receive this award. And I accept this award in honor of the courageous young women and men in Iran that are currently struggling for freedom. Some of you may have been following the news about what's happening in Iran since the death of a young woman with the same name as mine, Mahsa. Mahsa Amini was brutally murdered by the Iranian morality police for simply not wearing her headscarf properly. Since then, thousands of young people, teenagers, students, old people, and young have been protesting, seeking freedom from oppression. Many hundreds have been killed, many thousands imprisoned. As an Iranian American, as a Muslim woman, as an immigrant, I cherish the freedoms and opportunities that we have here in the United States. Dictating a certain set of values on others is not acceptable, not in Iran, not in the US. So it wasn't easy for me when I started 25 years ago to set up my own law practice because I couldn't find a job with an uncommon name and no contacts. So I took a chance on myself and started my own practice and worked hard to get to where I am today. And it's been an incredible 25 years of serving American businesses and families. With truly some of the most complex, stressful times in their lives, which is why we need comprehensive immigration reform. The Metro South community has been incredibly supportive of me, personally and as an immigration attorney. Business and community mentors like Susan Joss of Brockton Neighborhood Health Center, Fred Clark of Bridgewater State University, Craig Barger of the Easton Select Board, and our own Chris Cooney and his amazing team at the Chamber have given me opportunities and mentorship. And so I am dedicated to making sure that others like me can have it just a little bit easier, because I know that our diverse community has so much to add to the richness of our community and culture and to the strength of our economy. So it's truly been a pleasure to spend my time and resources to the community at large and my expertise in supporting the Metro South Chamber community, and I look forward to continuing to do so. Thank you so very much.
You know what's great about that camera? Gets rid of the double chin, so we're all set.
Thank you, Masa, for all that you do. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, founder and chief playmaker of the Life is Good Playmaker Project of Steve Gross. Steve Gross, founder, has spent his career spreading the power of optimism to people who need it most. Steve's teachings have been utilized across the world to help inspire joy and resilience in communities that are impacted by war, natural disaster, poverty, violence, and illness. At the heart of Steve's work is the belief that optimism is the single most important trait that a person can have in order to overcome life's greatest challenges. Steve often says that outstanding human services require outstanding humans, and that when we are able to tap into our best, most optimistic selves, all of us, regardless of our occupation, have the potential to be life-changing relationship businesses. In 2010, Steve partnered with the original positive lifestyle brand, Life is Good, to scale the work of Life is Good Playmaker Project and help over 1 million kids each year. From speaking with Steve, I can say his insight and energy are extraordinary. So please join me in welcoming Steve Gross.
Hello, everybody.
Hold on, I gotta get him. I don't know where I can see everyone. Hold on a second.
That's the only way that I can get unnervous. I figured out a trick for anyone who gets nervous when you public speak. The best drug that you can use is loving, warm human connection. And once you get that, you're good to go. Thank you. How many folks here have heard of Life is Good? Awesome. Anyone got any Life is Good here? All right, cool. Keep it up. Keep it up. But if somebody asks you what is Life is Good, what type of business are they? Like, what do they do? What would you tell them? What do we make? Make t-shirts. Shoot, I got a Life is Good t-shirt on right now. I don't imagine this talk's gonna go well enough to warrant me showing you my Life is Good boxes, but I got those as well. But nobody at Life is Good is overly passionate about t-shirts. I mean, I don't know, I don't want to judge. I did turn my mic on. I thought I did turn my mic on. Now it's on, huh? No? Yo, yeah, okay. I thought I was doing great. So as I was saying, nobody's overly passionate at Life is Good. Oh, I advanced my slides as well. That's okay. About t-shirts. I don't like to judge, but I don't know if that many people will say, like, I want to dedicate my existence on this planet to 100% cotton soft t-shirts. They're nice, but they're just a vehicle. They're a vehicle for a much more important mission, and that mission is to spread the power of optimism. You do it by sharing some original artwork, some words of wisdom, maybe a little conversation starter on your chest. But really, that's what we're about. A lot of folks don't know we also have a very strong social mission, which is the Life is Good Playmaker Project. And it's supporting the frontline men and women who dedicate their lives to helping kids overcome the impact of trauma and using the power of optimism to do so. I just want to make a disclaimer. Everything I share with you today is not an original thought that I've had. I haven't had one yet. I've never had an original thought. Everything I know has been taught to me by somebody else, mostly kids under the age of 6. And basically, my whole talk is just to make this one point, that choosing optimism is the single most important choice that we can make, but we got to do a deeper dive into what we mean by optimism. Because optimism isn't about ignoring the problems, ignoring the challenges, ignoring the pain, ignoring the struggle. No. See, the light of optimism is needed most in times of greatest darkness. And so sometimes folks think of optimism as this light, fluffy, everything is great, everything is wonderful. Oh, come on, be positive. You got nothing to complain about. Look at you, you got a beautiful suit. You're a handsome guy. But no, all those things are true, by the way. But that's not what optimism is. And so I want to dive in and just talk a little bit. And I want to quote William James, because I feel like when I do, I get instant credibility. Whenever you quote somebody whose only photographs are in black and white, it just seems to give you a little bit more depth. But that the idea that the greatest discovery of our generation, this was in the 1800s, was that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitude of mind. And I'm not only talking about individuals, I'm talking about entire communities. Brockton, where better begins and optimism thrives. Because this is a powerful community. That love, that diversity, that energy, you don't find it in many other places. I mean, I got to tell you, I live in Newton. I like Newton. It's fine. When I was walking down the street here and looking at some of the businesses, and I stopped and I had breakfast at, I think, a Cape Verdean restaurant. And I felt a different community energy. There was an older man walking on the street. He had a veteran's cap on. He told me a dirty joke. It was amazing. I'm not going to repeat it because I don't want to. I'm going to repeat it, but not here. Nobody does that. I've lived in Newton for like 20, nobody's told me a dirty joke on the street. So it was awesome. But I want to dive in because optimism isn't this. You've all seen this official optimism assessment instrument. If the glass is half full, congratulations, you're an optimist. If it's half empty, well, hey, come on, man. You got to focus on what you got. Be positive. We got some people who are uber optimists. We call them just, hey, I'm just grateful to have a glass. It's pretty awesome that we get one. Or you got the uber half empty folks who are like, well, yo, wait a minute. I think there's a spot on my freaking glass. But whatever you see, because see, it's important, we can see that we got a glass. And we can see that we got things in it to be grateful for. And we can see that there's a potential for more. And if there's a spot on the glass, well, hell, I want to know about it. Because nobody should have to drink from a dirty glass if there's other options for us. So this is not what optimism is. This is what optimism is. Take a good look at it. Make sense? How about now? That's it. Whoa, yep, you can applaud. That was like that. That's the first time anyone's ever applauded for that graphic. Thank you. I mean, I don't want to be this guy who's begging for applause, but I do appreciate him. It's the capacity to see the good. To see the good in yourself, first and foremost. None of us are perfect. You can probably tell by now I'm deeply flawed. But if all I could see were my vulnerabilities and my weaknesses are the things that sometimes tell me that I'm not enough, it'd be really hard to get up and stand here and try to do things that are important in the world. Being an optimist means we can see the good in others, even if we don't agree with them, even if we're not aligned with them politically, even if we don't view them as part of our tribe, because we gotta be one tribe. And optimism is about being able to see the opportunities that exist amidst the obstacles. I did a talk in Brooklyn recently, and it was a youth group, and they were real raw and real they were amazing young people. And one guy afterwards, he came up to me, he was like, yo, Steve, I gotta be real with you. Usually when someone starts with, I'm gonna be real with you, you gotta brace yourself a little bit. He was like, I ain't no optimist, man. I'm a realist. And I was like, all right, cool. So tell me, young man, what's really going on? Say, man, we just had a pandemic, killed a lot of people, disproportionately killed poor people and people of color. We got a divided political country that's never been like this, with democracy's on the brink. We got a justice system that is racist and that we are oppressing people and not giving people equal rights. There's police brutality. We have a mental health crisis. We have an opioid epidemic. And we got kids who have been having caught up and have fallen behind academically because of the way we handle COVID. And I nodded with him. I said, yeah, man, you're right. But can I ask you a question? Is that all that's going on? So what do you mean? I said, well, I remember with COVID, we had like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people worldwide, healthcare workers who risked their lives to save people who they didn't even know. And we had scientists from all over the world working together day and night to come up with therapeutics and vaccines to kind of put an end to the pandemic. And we had police injustices and racial inequalities, but I've never seen more people, diverse people coming out and activists and fighting against it and shining a light on it. And we have a mental health crisis, but we have amazing mental health workers who are out and people that get up every day trying to support kids who are struggling and adults. We got businesses trying to reinvent themselves and work with handle the circumstances that they have. So my advice is, man, if you want to be a realist, you got to make sure that these problems that are true don't blind you from the goodness and opportunities that's right in front of us, because we can leverage those things and we can make things better. And he nodded. I'll give that some thought. That's all we can do. Give it some thought. When I first came to Life is Good, I saw this graphic. I liked it. See, I had started my own little nonprofit in 1989 called Project Joy. And we did trainings for early childhood educators and social workers around how to help kids, how to create safe, loving, joyful, healing environments for kids who've had lots of adversity and trauma in their lives. And Bert and John Jacobs, brothers from Life is Good, came up to me. We were friends. They were like, yo, we should be one group here because we're doing the same thing. And I'm like, no, we're not. Y'all are making T-shirts. I'm a social worker working with kids. And Bert was like, dude, that's short-sighted. We got different whats, but our why is the same. Our why is about spreading the power of optimism. So we should join forces, be a for-profit and not-for-profit together. So we hired a consultant. They were like, oh, you don't want to do that. You're going to confuse your customer. And Bert, being true to himself, said, good. I want to confuse my customer. I want people to go, what the hell is this Life is Good? They make some T-shirts. They're social workers. They're holding music festivals. Like, it's really just about trying to bring more and shine more light on goodness that's taking place in the world so that we can address the problems. But I saw this, and I said to Bert, what does that mean? He says, oh, when you're rooted in optimism, it allows you to access your social and emotional superpowers, the things that actually change communities and change the world. See, and when you talk about it, you sound soft. But like, let's be real. We have enough economic viability, we have enough wisdom and technology to pretty much solve every problem that exists in the world. What we haven't quite figured out is the technology to enhance human compassion, let's say 10%, or love 10%, or open-mindedness or 10%, or gratitude 10%. See, my background is as a clinical social worker focusing on trauma, and I've had the opportunity to talk to people around the world about the impact of trauma on people's brains and on their bodies. And when you talk about trauma, people think you're pretty smart. Serious stuff. But I started realizing just knowing about trauma doesn't help people heal from it. Because the things that help people heal from it are kind of simple things, like joy and love and peace and creativity. But I found something interesting. When you talk about trauma, people think you're smart. Sometimes when you talk about peace, love, and joy, people think you smoke a lot of weed. They think that's the soft stuff. But measuring community joy, measuring community love, community compassion, I mean, shoot, then we're onto something as a community. But when I looked at this, I said, well, Bert, in that picture, it just says optimism grows everywhere. I've been to neighborhoods where optimism doesn't grow. I've been to places in the world where optimism doesn't grow. I'm sure there's streets and homes in Brockton where optimism doesn't grow because a tree doesn't grow just anywhere. A tree needs nutrients in the soil. So I want to take the remaining time that I have to just share these 4 nutrients. It's the foundation of our work, and I actually think the foundation of well-being for communities, for businesses, for schools, for any organization that's about helping people to thrive. The first is joy. Yeah, joy. An enduring sense of positivity. Enduring. That we still have it even when times are rough. This is a picture of me with Beatles drummer Ringo Starr. Has nothing to do with my talk. I just kind of wanted to show it. Let me jump back over to here. So, when I think about joy, my favorite story is this little boy, 9 years old, playing right field in Little League. Now, anyone here play Little League or softball growing up? Show of hands. Anyone play right field when you're 9? Oh, keep them up. Okay. There is a reason for that. There's a mathematical algorithm that the ball will never go there. And this little boy is the happiest boy on the baseball field. He's singing, he's dancing. He's not a particularly athletic kid. He's doing that baseball chatter. Come on, Billy, here we go, kid. And he's picking flowers every now and again, chasing butterflies, but he's having the time of his life. And his dad comes to the game and he sees his kid in right field. He parks the car, but he's a little bit late because he's coming from work. And he's like, "Hey, son, how you doing?" He's like, "Dad, this is awesome. Thank you for signing me up. I love this." He goes, "How's the game going, son?" "Great, Dad." "What's the score, son?" 26-0, Dad. Father's like, "Wow, that's awesome. You guys are winning 26-0. Little kid's like, "Hell no, we're losing 26-0. And the father asks him a pretty grown-up question. He says, "Well, son, what are you so happy about?" Little kid looks at his dad and says, "Dad, we haven't even been up yet." And I love that story because that's optimism. But it's a little sneaky. It's not that he was optimistic that he's going to score 27 runs the next inning. I don't think this little boy is going to mind too much even if they lose 64-3. Really, that focuses, "Dad, what am I so happy about?" I'm sure he had a lot of answers. "I got 2 legs, Dad. I can stand in the outfield. I'm on a baseball team, Dad. And I'm on a green field and the sun is shining. And I got a dad who goes to my game, Dad. I got a freaking baseball glove and an oversized hat." See, there's always flowers for those who choose to see them. I lost my dad a couple of years ago. He used to always say to me, he used to say like, "Son, nobody ever wakes up in the morning and says, 'Thank God I didn't wake up with a toothache,' unless you went to bed with one." Sometimes there's all of these blessings that we have. I don't know, this is probably an overshare, but I don't know if anyone's ever had this thing where your uvula swells. Anyone familiar with this? You get like a cold and the thing in the back of your throat that you never pay attention to swells. And all of a sudden you can't like lay back down because you feel like you're gonna choke on your own uvula. Sorry to get passionate about this, but it happened to me recently. And when that happened, I called my doctor, "Oh yeah, you have uvulitis or whatever it was. Here's a steroid, it'll take care of it." And then my uvula was back to normal. Damn, man, I had never appreciated my uvula more than that next day. We only tend to appreciate things when they don't work. And then we realized, I had a guy recently, I was like, "Dude, you have the Wi-Fi password?" He's like, "Oh, it doesn't work." I can't believe the Wi-Fi doesn't work. I had to look at him, I'm like, "Dude, I can't believe the Wi-Fi ever does work. How does it work? I mean, I could just tap my phone and download every new Taylor Swift song that I want. How does that work?" There's an abundance of things. So joy, enduring sense of positivity, talking about I get to instead of I have to. "Oh, I have to go to work today." No, I get to. The other day I said to my wife, "I have to go to the dentist. Oh, I'm not looking forward to it. I got 2 cavities I gotta fill." I know I'm oversharing a lot, the uvula, not the cavities, but I had to reframe it. No, I get to go to the dentist. How cool is that? That I get to go somewhere where some highly educated, well-trained person and his assistant drop everything they're doing and spend an hour on my mouth. Man, that's joy. Second piece, internal control. Internal control is that sense that I am worthy, I am powerful, I am capable. It looks like that. I matter. You know, in the Zulu language, when people meet on the path and they're meeting each other for the first time, or if they've known each other for a while, their greeting is Sawubona. Sawubona means I see you. And if somebody says Sawubona to you, the response is Sikbona. I am here. How many people in our communities don't feel seen, don't feel loved, don't feel valued, even though none of us in this room is a 1 in a million? Because if we were, as my dad shared with me, there'd be 9 more just like us in New York City alone. We're bigger than a 1 in a million. Each of us is an only. And when we walk down a street, that somebody sees us and values us, well, man, that changes our feeling for our community. You know, I have this story that I just got to share. It's my favorite. It's really good. My wife said, don't ever tell people the story's good before you tell it, because what if it's not good? I was like, no, it's good. So there's a very famous basketball coach. This basketball coach will remain nameless. All I can tell you is this Ben's basketball coach has won several national championships. He's sought after to speak all over the country for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he was a local guy, not in this community, but in the community outside of here. And one of his friends said to him, hey, coach, I know you're big and I know you got a lot going on, but our CYO basketball team just won the championship and we're having this spaghetti dinner and wondering if you would be the keynote. We got no budget, but would you be willing to do it? And this coach is a nice guy. He's like, yeah, be happy to do it. I came up in this community. Let's go for it. So he sits down in a meal similar to this. And you know, people come by with the salad just like the good folks over here did, but this was not nearly as high class as what we're having now. There was no like real silverware. We're talking about styrofoam plates. They came over with the salad, somebody else comes over with a dinner roll, somebody else comes over with a pat of butter. Coach happens to love butter. So he says to the server, can I just grab a second pat of butter? I'm a real butter freak. And she looks at him and says, oh, I'm so sorry, sir. Just one pat of butter per guest. He's like, you really? I mean, I can't get another pat of butter here? You can't slide me another pat of butter? She's like, no, they told me one pat per person. Just got to make sure we're enough. So I don't know if this coach just didn't get enough sleep that day, but he was like, I'm sorry, do you know who I am? Tough way to start any conversation. And she says, no, sir, I'm sorry, I don't. And he says, well, I'm Coach so-and-so. I'm the guest speaker tonight. She's like mortified. Oh, my God, Coach. I am so sorry. I had no idea. And he says, oh, it's okay, hon. You know, it's okay. And then she pauses. She doesn't give him the butter. And she says, Coach, do you know who I am? And he goes, sorry, I don't. And she goes, I'm the girl with the butter. And she walks away. And I love it because, you know, we're the city of champions here, but not all of us are gonna be champions. I've never won a championship. Not all of us are gonna be on the stage having folks look at us and being some, you know, big time, big leader. But every one of us at any moment can be the person with the butter. Sometimes it just might be a person with a strong back who's willing to shovel a driveway for somebody. Or a person who's got a truck who can help somebody move. Or a real good cook who can cook a few meals for somebody who's grieving or somebody who's sick. We always got butter, even if it's just our time and energy and presence. Man, I'll never forget that. Third ingredient, active engagement. The capacity to be in the moment, to be here now. It's hard for people, especially people who've had a lot of trauma. Because we know with trauma, we're stuck in the past. I was reading this. But the Lord says, do not cling to events of the past or dwell on what happened long ago. That's easier said than done. When you're stuck in the horror of the past and you're worried about what might happen in the future, you miss the moment. And the moment is sometimes all we got. My wife is a yogi, and I'm married way out of my league. My wife's better than me in everything. She earns more, she looks better, she's smarter, she's nicer, more patient. And I'm like, I gotta get some of this yoga too. So she went to yoga class one day, and I said, like, can I come with? She was like, it's kind of a tough yoga class. And I laughed. I said, come on, huh? Played high school football in '85. I've been to the Lululemon store in Chestnut Hill. I think I stack up just fine. You'll see. So I go to the class. First thing I notice, it's like 175 degrees in the room. I figure it's probably going to be canceled because the heating system's broken. She said, no, this is the way it's supposed to be. So I ask her how long the class is. She tells me it's going to be about an hour and 20 minutes. Now I start to panic, like I might die in the yoga class. So I'm doing my pose incorrectly, and I'm looking, going like, oh my God, I have like an hour and 18 minutes left in this class, and I already feel dizzy. And the teacher looks at me and she goes, excuse me, sir, I'm going to need you to be here now. Because if you're not here now, you're nowhere. And I was like, oh shit. Yes, she's so right. And I had an epiphany that I would much rather be nowhere than in that freaking yoga class. And I left. Now, after I left, I told my wife, you're right, I hate yoga, it sucks. She goes, no. That class just overwhelmed you. Next week, we're gonna go to another class, and it was 70 degrees in the room, and there were straps to hold on to, and blankets and blocks, and staff who were helping to adjust your position with your permission. And I was like, oh, wow, I love yoga. Then I had my real epiphany. For a lot of kids that we work with and adults, being here now is hard because now is too difficult. How do we lower the temperature in our interactions, in our businesses, in our communities? How do we provide the metaphorical blocks or straps or blankets that help make now tolerable to someone who's struggling and crawling out of their skin, because everyone we meet is in the midst of a great struggle? My last ingredient is social connection. It's the most powerful force in the universe. What is a community if we're not connected? Communities that have the highest level of feelings of connection thrive. Human beings thrive. The Harvard study of adult development found out that the best predictor of men's overall health, how healthy they will grow old, is not their cholesterol level, but the quality of their relationships. Love, friendship is better for you than kale. But we often sacrifice. We eat healthy, but I haven't heard a whole lot of people go, I just really got to boost up my social system. I got to touch base with the people who I love and who I know love me. And I want to share one last thing, and I'm going to say my goodbyes. And I've already probably gone a little bit late, and I apologize. I get excited, I'm good? Okay. After the earthquakes in Haiti, we started getting a lot of phone calls. You guys going to Haiti? You guys going to Haiti? I said, no, we're not going to Haiti. Well, why aren't you going to Haiti? I said, well, nobody invited us to go to Haiti, number one. Number two, I don't want to be a bungee jumper. I said, what do you mean? Like, well, we're going to jump into Haiti after the earthquake, and when things really start to get bad, we're going to bungee out? Because we're going to be the international foreign experts that are going to show up and show people the way? I said, no, that's not how it works. You want to help a community, you partner with the community. You support the community. You allow the community to run it, that those closest to the children deserve to play the central role in their healing. So no, I ain't going to Haiti. And then we got invited. And they asked if we could help. And I said, I don't know. I've never been to Haiti. I'm going to go visit. And I'm just going to look around, and I'm going to do what I like to call a reconnaissance mission. Talk to people, see what the needs are, see if we can be helpful. Because why be somewhere and compete for resources that are already scarce just because you can tell people we're helping in Haiti? So we went, we made some amazing friends, and at one point they realized, one guy said to me, hey, I know you're a play kind of expert. We have some kids that their parents are receiving medical treatment. Would you be willing to kind of play with them because they're sitting around all day doing nothing? And to be honest, I was like, nah, I don't think it's a great idea because I'm just one guy and there's already insufficient medical supplies, and what if somebody gets hurt? And it can get very chaotic. And he's like, Steve, don't worry about it. There's only a handful of kids who are healthy enough to play. I said, okay. Why? What's wrong with the other kids? Oh, they're too frightened. They're dehydrated. They're malnourished. They're anxious. So I said, sure. Grabbed my parachute, started playing with a group of kids. A couple minutes in, we're laughing, we're playing. We had to get rid of the parachute because every single kid in the village wanted to play. Kids who were too hungry, too thirsty, too sick, too scared. And I got to be honest with you, we didn't play anything particularly fun. We just pretty much stood there just like you're seeing in the picture. That's actually a video. I'm just kidding, it's not a video, but We seriously just stood around moving together. At one point, we passed my hat around the circle and I pretended to race my own hat. We weren't doing, but the desire for human connection, to be part of something, to be seen, to be valued, to be loved, is a primal drive. And I don't care what resources you have in a community. If people don't feel that they're seen, valued, or connected in that community, they're going to go elsewhere someday. Sometimes we want to go where everybody knows your name. Maybe even a couple people, even if they don't know your name, they're willing to share a smile, a dirty joke, a wave, whatever it is, or a clean joke. Who knows? So when you have those ingredients in your community, when this is a community where you look at, and the mayor is here, and I could tell how passionate he is about this. Hey, we've done a lot. This is a place where people feel joy, and they do feel connected. And there's lots to engage them, and they do feel safe and empowered. Well, then the soil becomes fertile. Then optimism can take root. And when you can see the good in yourself, well, shoot, you can be creative. You can be courageous. You can be authentic. When you see the goodness in others, well, hey, you can be open to them. You can be compassionate. You can be loving. When you see goodness in the world, you can laugh and have fun and be grateful for the simple things. And the world and Brockton and all our communities become a little bit more beautiful. Thank you. And the last thing that I'll share, but in the words of the great jazz saxophone player Charlie Parker, if you don't live it, it won't come out your horn. We gotta be selfish-ish and say that nobody's joy is more important than your own. No one's sense of love is more important than your own. No one's sense of engagement or wellness is more important than your own, because we can't spread to others what we do not have. Optimism is not taught, it is caught. And so thinking about when we leave here, not only for yourself, but for your family, what are we gonna do to bring more joy into our lives? Life's pretty short. Seems to be getting shorter by the day. I mean, I don't know. But I had a look and like someone's like, hey, you're having a midlife crisis. I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think I'm gonna make it to 112. I'm not midlife anymore. I'm playing in the third quarter. So man, joy is important. Social connection is important. Who are you gonna play with? Who are the people that make you feel bigger? Not about so much about who elevate you, make you feel better about who you are. What are you gonna do to stay strong and balanced, physically, emotionally, spiritually? And then what are you gonna do to stay engaged and inspired? Then how do we spread that community-wide? I am so freaking grateful that I got invited to be here. It's an honor, it's a privilege, and I'm really excited for all the great things to come with Brockton. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Steve. Just a reminder, in your packages is this beautiful Life is Good t-shirt for Brockton, as well as on the table, make sure you take the beautiful Life is Good mug that we have for you. And just one inside story on our video that we created, that we featured earlier. We did run it by Steve just before we went live with it. And Steve was really pumped. He says, you know, it's full of optimism. It's full of joy, all the things I'm very passionate about. But can you tweak that slogan a little bit? And we said, well, what do you mean? But what don't you like about the slogan? He said it should be Brockton, where dirty jokes begin. That was a suggestion that unfortunately we could not abide by. So thank you very much, Steve. It's now my pleasure to welcome our new chairman of the Metro South Chamber of Commerce Board. Please join me in welcoming Rich Hines, president of Barbour Corporation, as the chairman's new chair.
Thank you, Joe. And before you go, it's my pleasure to recognize your contribution as chair of the chamber for the past 2 years. Your record of success at Harbor One while leading the chamber through a pandemic is a tough act to follow. Congratulations to you. We certainly appreciate all of you've done for the chamber. Now here comes the good part. As a token of our appreciation, and I need a drum roll if there are any drummers out there. Okay, good. Okay. We are pleased, there we go, it's over there. We're pleased to present you with this beautiful handcrafted chair made in Massachusetts. And that was a great speech, Steve. Really enjoyed that. First, allow me to say how pleased I am to be serving in this capacity as chairman of the board. As some of you know, and I know a lot of you in the room, but I don't know you all. As some of you know, I was born in Brockton. I grew up in Brockton. And I worked probably within walking distance from where I grew up. Okay. Barber Corporation is celebrating our 130th year this year. And the company was founded in 1892 by John Barber as a supplier to the shoe industry, specifically the product called leather welting. And I want you to visualize, you know Brockton is called the shoe city, but I just want you to visualize Brockton back in the late 1800s, 1892, first part of the 20th century, with just a thriving community of shoe factories, over 100 shoe factories, and suppliers that probably delivered their supplies with push carts instead of trucks as things are today. Of course, we all know what happened to the shoe industry. It shrank and largely went to Asia. So we had to do other things. We had to diversify in order to survive. And I'm very pleased to say that we did that. We operate 2 facilities now. We're headquartered in Brockton, but we have another facility in Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia is primarily involved in manufacturing plastic parts for the boat industry. You know, and these days we're about 80% plastic products. Brockton's biggest product line these days are extrusions that go into the supermarket. Those refrigerated display cases and the freezers and those chests on the back of the supermarket wall that have doors on. That's the largest activity in Brockton. Anyway, I mention this to provide context for my perspective. It's a perspective that incorporates business, community, and family. I understand and appreciate the effort required to run a business while also contributing to the good of the community. This Chamber of Commerce is a conduit to help business and our communities for the better. And I plan to do all I can to help facilitate, engage, energize efforts to advance the city and the region. I ask you to join me in these efforts, and I look forward to working with you in the next year. And that's all I'm going to say. I mean, you already heard the best of the program right there, so I can't outdo that, and I can't even begin to outdo that. So the Chamber has one more event scheduled for this year, and it's a holiday-themed event, and it's a Good Day Metro South luncheon at Thorny Lee Club, and mark the date, December 13th, which is a Tuesday. It'll feature a panel of new faces in leadership roles within the region, and this one is sponsored by Cambridge Savings Bank. And now I have a bunch of people I have to thank because, as you know, as you can imagine, there's a lot of expense in putting on an event like this, and there's a lot of effort that goes into it as well. Thank you to our major sponsors: Harbor One Bank, UMass Donahue Institute, Bridgewater State University, Mass Hire Greater Brockton Workforce Board. Thank you to contributing sponsors: Old Colony Elder Services, Eastern Bank, Northeastern Savings Bank, the Enterprise, and JM Pet Resort. In addition, again, I want to thank Steve Gross, Life is Good, Playmaker Project, just a phenomenal talk today. You had us all in stitches, so thank you very much for appearing today. Next is the best photographer in Brockton, Rich Morgan Photography. Brockton Community Access Channel, Cardinal Spellman High School, Hutchins Flowers, BC Tent and Awning, Brewster Ambulance, Brockton Area Transit Authority, Adult and Teen Challenge. And this is a wonderful venue. And last but certainly not least, the talented chamber staff who've made all this possible: Catherine Schofield, Emma Stratton, Teresa Albin, and of course, Chris Cooney. Now, before we adjourn, I want to remind you that we have some giveaways on the table. The mugs are in the boxes. You've got the blue bags. Don't forget to take them back with you. Some good stuff in there. Okay, and this is another tradition at all chamber meetings. You see the centerpiece, okay? So one lucky person gets to take that home. And that lucky person is the person who traveled the farthest to get to this meeting. And you know who you are. Thank you all for attending, and thank you for your continued support of the Chamber. This concludes the Metro South Chamber of Commerce's 109th annual meeting.